Today's video is really gonna anger some people. It may even anger you, but you deserve to know the truth even if it hurts. Today, you are going to learn why your firearms training, even if it is stress-based firearms training, even if it is as real as you can make it, is not truly preparing you for a gunfight. But in this video, you will also learn some things that will help you, so please watch the video to the end. But first, for new viewers, I was a regular police officer for 20 years. I've been a firearms instructor, a certified firearms instructor for about over 15 years now, and I was unfortunately forced into a self-defense police action shooting. So the information that I give to you in today's video is from real life experience. So every time I see a video where a self-defender uses a firearm against a violent attacker, I always see a lot of comments from viewers that say things like, that self-defender should have trained more with this firearm. Training, training, training. Or it's all about shot placement. If that self-defender would have shot that bad guy in X spot, that bad guy would have dropped immediately, etc. And then I will see comments from other viewers that will say things like, well, to help me prepare for a gunfight, I will add stress to my firearms training. I will do jumping jacks right before I shoot, or I will add realism to my firearms training by doing simunitions training, etc. But folks, I'm here to tell you that no matter how much stress you add in your firearms training, no matter how much realism you try to add into your firearms training, it's just not likely to truly prepare you for a real gunfight. It's also not likely going to really make it so that you can hit your attacker in that perfect spot. And truthfully, your accuracy in a real gunfight is probably going to plummet, even if you are a crack shot on the range. Now, before I explain to you why your stress-based and realistic firearms training will not truly prepare you for a real gunfight, let me remind you that it is not unusual for it to cost you nearly $1 million to defend yourself in court should you get charged with murder for defending yourself. So today's video is brought to you by Firearms Legal Protection, and hey, I use it myself. And here is why I love Firearms Legal Protection. For about the cost of a box of ammo a month, you get all the important things that you need should you ever be forced to defend yourself against a violent attacker. As soon as you are forced to shoot a violent attacker in self-defense, you can call their hotline and an attorney will immediately start heading your way to deal with the cops on your behalf. And if you still get arrested and bond is set, Firearms Legal Protection will pay your bail. And then if your self-defense shooting goes to trial, Firearms Legal Protection will provide you an attorney to fight on your behalf. And I will put a link down below, and with that link, you will get a discount when you join. Okay, hey, now back to our video. So for all of the people that say, hey, I do stress-based firearms training, or I add realism to my firearms training, I'm gonna drop a truth bomb here on you, and that is you can do all of the jumping jacks, all of the exercises you want to get your heart rate up before you do your firearms training, and you can do all of the simunitions training that you want, but it will not truly prepare you for a real gunfight. And the reason that that will not truly prepare you for a real gunfight is because no matter how realistic or how stress-based you make that training, you know that that target does not have a real gun pointing back at you, and you have only milliseconds to shoot that target before you're dead. The simple fact is, no matter how realistic you make your firearms training, that firearms training cannot recreate the type of stress that your body reacts to when you have a real bad guy trying to kill you. So here is what is more than likely going to happen to you and the average person in a real gunfight with a real bad guy. The first thing is your fight or flight will probably take over, and you will probably not have time to take really good aim, as you're probably only going to have milliseconds to get that shot off to stop that attacker. And with you not having time to take really good aim, you're also more than likely, unless you're lucky, going to place a bullet in that perfect spot that's going to drop that attacker immediately. And your accuracy, even if you're crack shot on the range, like I said earlier, and your accuracy is more than likely going to plummet. As for me, when I was forced into that self-defense police action shooting, when it was over with, it was nothing like you see on TV. As trained and as experienced with firearms and firearms training that I was, what I realized after that self-defense shooting, that while I was trained with firearms, I was trained with firearms at the range. I was not experienced in real gunfights where a real bad guy was pointing a real gun at me and trying to kill me. Simply put, in my regular firearms training, I have not been able to recreate that holy crap moment when a real bad guy is really trying to kill you and your fight or flight takes over as you are trying to save your own life. Now let me go ahead and tell you some things that will really help you to prepare for a real gunfight, or where you really got to use deadly force against a violent attacker to save your life. First, you probably will not get much forewarning that you are going to have to use deadly force, or that you're going to have to shoot an attacker to save your life. Bad guys just don't like to warn you before they really try to injure you. Second, because you're not going to get much of a forewarning, you probably won't have time to take careful aim at your bad guy. And this panic part that many self-defenders experience is, I've used this example in the past and I'll use it here again. How many of you folks have been at like a backyard picnic or something, and you start seeing a wasp flying close to you and your food, and you see that wasp slowly coming towards you, so you have time to actually see it and perceive it and decide what you're going to do, and as that wasp gets within hand reach of you, you kind of give it a little bit of a swat so it goes away. That's happened to all of us. But how many of you have been at another picnic like that, and you look down and suddenly you see a wasp or a hornet crawl underneath the sleeve of your shirt or go down into your collar of your shirt? When that has happened, did you do a simple swat like that, or did you go holy crap, and you're smacking your arm 100 times a second? So I think we can agree that most of us, when we see a wasp or a hornet disappear underneath our sleeve or down our collar, that we're going to be smacking 100 times a second trying to kill that thing before it stings us. So if we do that with just a wasp or a hornet, something that's for most of us is only going to sting us and hurt us a little bit, can you just imagine what your reaction is going to be when you suddenly have a bad guy trying to actually kill you? So that's just another thing that I want to tell you about, that is, if a bad guy suddenly starts trying to kill you and you panic shoot and you pump 5 or 10 rounds into him trying to save your own life, that is perfectly, I feel like that is perfectly a natural reaction. And so no matter how realistic I try to make my firearms training, again, like I said earlier, I know that that target is not going to shoot back at me. I know that I don't have just milliseconds to get a hit on that target before I die. And so the only way that I know of to truly prepare yourself for a gunfight with a real bad guy is just to end up being forced into those gunfights. And don't get me wrong when I say that. Basically what I'm saying is there really is no true preparation for your first gunfight. And let me stress this, I am not saying to go out and get yourself in gunfights either. What I'm just trying to stress to you in this video is, no matter how realistic you try to make your training, it is not going to truly prepare you like so many people think it will for your first self-defense gunfight. Now, I absolutely want to make this clear. I am not saying not to do training. I am not saying not to do stress-based training or realistic training. Those types of trainings are excellent to do. They will help. Once I was involved in that self-defense shooting, it completely changed the way I do my firearms training. Now when I do my firearms training, I do movement and drawing and shooting while moving all at the same time. Very quickly I realized that normal shooting at the range, where you're just standing there shooting at a target, you're just training yourself to be a static target for your bad guy. So at least if you're moving, you're making yourself hopefully a harder target. And hopefully when you move, you're moving towards cover. In fact, my suggestion is that you train drawing and moving so much that it becomes so ingrained in you. And since you will more than likely be moving, hopefully be moving if a bad guy is trying to kill you, I think it makes sense to be able to hone your shooting skills enough that you can relatively hit your target with some accuracy while you are on the move. So I highly suggest in your firearms training that you do train with shooting and moving at the same time, obviously unless you're already behind good cover. And then believe it or not, these next things will really help you should you ever be forced into a self-defense shooting, and that's just knowing what will happen to your body afterwards. And the first thing is, don't be surprised if you have lapses of memory. Second thing, don't be surprised if you don't hear your gunshots go off. That's called auditory exclusion. Happens very commonly when people are trying to save their lives. Also understand that your heart rate and your blood pressure will probably be through the roof for quite a while after the shooting is over with. And then don't be surprised if everything feels unreal or dreamlike again for hours after that shooting has happened. Knowing that your body will experience those things when the dust clears and you're still alive and you start experiencing these physical and mental things after the shooting's over with, knowing those beforehand will really help you out when you do actually start feeling those. You'll understand what's going on, and you'll understand not only what's going on, but why. Now again, before people go pounding on the keyboard saying that I'm saying not to do training, again, I am absolutely not saying that. Do as much training as you possibly can. Do as much realistic training as you possibly can. It just won't be the magic pill that you think it is, but it does help. Also, before other people go pounding on the keyboard about how the church guy that killed the active killer, or the young man in the mall that killed that active killer in the mall, about how calm and collective that they were in those shootings, just let me remind you that in both of those shootings, those active killers were not pointing their guns at the person that shot them. That makes a big difference when you have a gun pointed at you and you've only got split milliseconds to get that shot off to save your life. And then of course there are just people that have nerves of steel, and no matter what's happening, they're just gonna be calm and collective, but that's not the average person, and I will completely admit it. That ain't me when a real bad guy has a real gun pointed at me and he is pulling the trigger. Now here is a question I have for you. Have you or somebody that you know ever been involved in a self-defense shooting? And if so, were you or the person that you know, were you calm and collected during that self-defense shooting, or was it ugly and a holy crap moment and nothing like you see on TV? Comment down below so we all learn from each other. And to learn simple firearms training that you can do that can really help you, again, prepare for a real gunfight, firearms training that most gun owners don't know about, then click on the video that should be appearing on the screen just about now to learn that powerful information. Anyways, folks, this is enough internet for me today. I do need to get back to training. But folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.